Welcome to our 31st podcast and our first guest. Today we'll be talking about gaining resilience through empathy with our first guest, Rachel Minion from Rockstarr Moon. What's one thing you can do to be more resilient and more empathetic? Keep listening to find out. Welcome to Harmonious Workplaces, a podcast about corporate culture, organizational change management, and workplace behavior. Harmonious Workplaces was started by independent consultants Rich Cruz, Ben Kleinman, and Cheryl Volpe to explore, challenge, and build on various organizational culture and change management concepts. It's a blend of theory and practice based on their personal and professional experiences working with companies of all sizes across various industries. If you own a business, lead a team, want new ideas about the corporate environment, or just want to listen to a group of consultants talking about how to make work more enjoyable, we invite you to sit back, relax, and dive in with us to Harmonious Workplaces. Hello, Harmonious Workplaces listeners. As always, we're so glad to have you. My name is Rich Cruz. I'm an organizational development consultant, and I'm joined, as always, by my colleagues, Ben Kleinman.
Hi, Ben. Everyone.
And Cheryl Volpe. And we are so excited to have our first guest, Rachel Minion. Hi, Rachel. How are you?
Hey, I'm fabulous. How are you?
Yay. Welcome.
Hello.
Fantastic. And for all those who may be listening to just the audio on this, Rachel has quite an array of guitars in the background, and I'm sure we're going to hear some things about how Rockstarr Moon came to be. Rachel, can you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and Rockstarr Moon?
Sure. I'm Rachel Minion. I am head rockstar at Rockstarr Moon, and we are a marketing agency. And the guitars you talk about is just good branding. There's no musical talent. There is absolutely nothing there. But you get onto a call, you see our brand. That is what I do.
Right.
And it looks really cool.
Well, thank you.
It looks really cool.
It's super effective.
And arguably, it's better that you have really nice guitars and can't play them than me, who has a ton of really not so good guitars and I can hardly play them.
Degrees.
Yeah. So one of the things we wanted to do, so, we've been talking about all different types of things about leadership and about, how we can be better in the workplace, right? How we can navigate change. And you've navigated change throughout your entire career, right? So I thought maybe we would start with a little bit of your backstory, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So about 14 years ago was the beginning of the end and yet a new chapter all at the same time. We all know what happened in 2008 and the housing bubble and all these other things started happening and the economy went nuts. And I was working with my family. We had a small printing company, and a lot of our clients were printers in the area. Government contracts stopped from the government printing office, and client by client went from 30 days of no paying to 60 to 90 to they're out of business. Some of our largest clients, like Ritz Camera, bankrupt. All these things came to be. And what we've learned was, okay, there's no way if our clients aren't paying, we've done the work, what do you do? So we ended up closing the business. And one of the things as a woman in printing, they didn't think I knew what I knew. They didn't think I could get in and operate any digital press, or that could get in bindery, or I could do estimating and production management. And it was a really weird moment in time. So I was sitting outside the Bottle and Cork in Dewey Beach and said, okay, I know I can do marketing. I can grow my own skill set. I can make my own thing, and I will make it where there's nothing that you can say I haven't done. So sitting out there under the moon and the stars, that's where Rockstarr Moon came from. And I've always had it as a side hustle, just in case. You never know. And I've always had that full-time corporate career and grew that career. And finally, I was at Ticketmaster. It was the ultimate dream for a girl who's madly in love with music, right? And the pandemic happened. And the craziest part about the pandemic is if you're working at Ticketmaster, there are no events. We had Garth Brooks talk to us. We had Pharrell talk to us. We were all in these amazing town halls. And then about a week or two later was that town hall where 80% of us were furloughed through a webinar. And what do? Half of my friends that were working with me had no idea what to do. They haven't updated their resume since they started working at Ticketmaster forever and ever and ever ago. They didn't know what they would want to do in the workplace. They love live events, but there are none. So what do? For me, I already had my side hustle. So that afternoon, I called all my clients that I'd put all the projects on the side for and said, hey, let's go. Let's make this happen. And took that big kick in the butt to go launch my own thing and have this amazing experiment.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. I mean, we talked about, oh boy, how many episodes was that ago that we talked about navigating through crisis? Actually, I think we've talked about that a few times.
Yeah,
right?
Crisis management, navigating through change. I mean, it's been a theme for many of our episodes. But absolutely. I mean, just Rachel, the way you embody all that, and I think the positivity and the forward-lookingness, if that's a word, that you have is just amazing.
Well, I think there's times where you have to look at it as an adventure. And what's the worst that's going to happen? I fail, but if I fail, I get to learn something, and that creates the next adventure. So while all of this is happening, on top of now I'm full-time for myself and I need to figure out how do you make a business? We put the house up for sale because in Chicago, it was a stay-at-home order. We couldn't leave. And quite frankly, didn't know when things would open up again and what do? And nobody had ever sold a house in a pandemic before, so why not be the first? So we put our renovated condo on the market. It sold. All of these things happen at the same time, and now we're homeless and jobless, and what next? So we put our stuff in storage, and we slummed it on the beach in St. Augustine because Florida was open. So we rented a little 2-bedroom bungalow. It's really horrible to live on an island when the world is shut down, and in Florida, everything was open.
Right. You are the embodiment of the enjoy the journey poster, meme, coffee mug, and bumper sticker. Right?
Absolutely.
Rachel, if you had to say, what was it that gave you that optimism despite tremendous challenge all at once?
I don't know if the word is optimism. I just don't think I had a choice. The world is shut down, right? We all have options. We can either say, oh, this is the worst thing ever and be the victim, or we solutionize. What can we do? How can we enjoy this? How can we make this absolutely fun? And, a decade prior, I was diagnosed with cancer. I had no idea that this was coming. Quite frankly, I started having weird symptoms. I Googled it. My Google MD, because that allows me to be a doctor, told me that I was pregnant. I was not only not pregnant, but, I waited a week and a half to even go see a doctor. And I kept Googling pregnancy and stomach pains. And every woman said it was the worst stomach pains for 9 months. And I was like, man, I'm a wimp. I got to do this for 9 months. No, my appendix burst and I had waited.
Oh, no.
So once the, infection went down and they did the surgery, I had just quit my job so I could start a new job. I was really excited. I was going to work for the company my husband was formerly working at with a lot of our friends. And the craziest thing happened with it because I'm in the office and they said I could come alone. I said, do I need somebody to come with me for this follow-up? They're like, no, come alone. You're fine. So they told me that I had cancer. And I said, no, I'm on candid camera and this isn't funny. And the doctor's like, well, we'll give you a minute.
Yeah.
All right. So I sit there. It takes me a second. And I said, wait a minute. Chicago just voted in medical marijuana. Is that right? And the guy said, so you want a pot card? I was like, no. That's not where I'm going with this. And he said, okay, where are we going? I was like, so if I get pot and I'm in my house and I'm smoking and the police show up, do I just show this card and this is officially my get out of jail free card for everything? And the doctor is sitting there. He looks at me. He wants to laugh. He doesn't. And he says, we'll just give you a few more minutes.
Clearly, you need a few more.
You know, that doctor went back to the staff room and just bust out. And that's now his like favorite telling a patient they have cancer story.
And he took him a minute. He's like, so should we talk next steps? Or do you have anything else you'd like to ask? And I was like, next steps are fine. Let's do that. But this is where, in most cases, this is the end of the world. And I'm thinking, okay, where is the upside? How do we find that? Where can the humor be?
Right.
Yeah. Wow. So maybe that's the answer is to give the most non sequitur response to crisis to just break it up.
He's never going to forget me.
Amazing. Yeah, that's right.
That's right. That's humor.
Perfect. Oh man. Now, so can you Rockstarr Moon, right? Can you tell us a little bit about what your company actually does? Like, what is your agency all about?
I built Rockstarr Moon to serve as a marketing agency for small businesses. The goal is we love B2B, and I want to be able to help them grow their businesses in ways they've never dreamed of. So that is the reason behind all of this. We do it so that they can support themselves, their family, their community, because it's the small businesses that help support Little Leagues, that help support Girl Scouts, that help do all of these things and keep our communities alive. And it's really the backbone of our entire economy, our entire world here.
That's great.
For sure.
And
so
I just wanted to get a little bit into the structure and system of the playbooks that you have developed and how that has formed the foundation of what you're offering.
Yeah.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we take a quick break before we get into that? Because I definitely want to hear about about those playbooks. I've downloaded all of them. Just super job. I can't believe how prolific you are in this. So love to talk more about that. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Dysfunctional organizational cultures and poorly managed transformations can devastate employee morale and motivation, leading to disengaged employees, poor work quality, and the loss of your best people. The impacts to your organization include high costs, low productivity, and wasted resources. At Harmonious Workplaces, our purpose is to help you build the best workplace possible. We are advisors applying proven organizational development and industrial organizational psychology methodologies to help you become your best organization. We are doers, using time-tested principles to help you execute organizational change initiatives smoothly and successfully. To discover how Harmonious Workplaces can impact your organization, visit www.harmoniousworkplaces.com and book a free 30-minute information session with one of our consultants today. Again, that's www.harmoniousworkplaces.com. And we're back. So we're talking with Rachel Minion of Rockstarr Moon. And Cheryl, you were just bringing up some of the playbooks that Rockstarr Moon offers. Can you pick that up where
Absolutely.
we left off?
I have noticed that with your company, Rachel, you have encapsulated all of this experience and wisdom over the course of your career into these playbooks, and they seem to provide a foundation to the offerings that you bring with Rockstarr Moon. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So I realized not everyone can afford a full service marketing agency. They can't afford a bolt-on marketing agency, but they still need the benefit of the things that we offer. So I wrote 18 playbooks, and I believe we have 3 frameworks available on the website. They're all available for free. You can go download them today. And the intent is we want you to get so good at marketing that you need us and you're ready to hire us. And then we don't want to work with you forever. We want to get you so good, you bring on your own team internally. And we want to make sure you have the right pieces and the right things so that your business can go succeed. There's some great playbooks on the marketing side of the world. So how do you get referrals? What do you do with dead leads? What do you do to pre-sell? And how do you do these things in a systematized fashion so that it doesn't take all of your time, effort, and energy every day? So we've created that, we've set it live, and so far what we've really seen is that it's made it accessible for small businesses across the US, and we've gotten some really great feedback because they've been able to implement it and start getting more sales almost immediately.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love your approach on it because you are coming at it, and when we started this podcast, we talked about empathy, right? I mean, you are coming at it from a business owner's standpoint. Am I right about that?
Absolutely.
And you have thought about, okay, I'm just trying to put myself into Minion mode here. Okay, so
You just want one of those guitars.
I'm thinking. I just see that you were like, okay, people, I've been there. People cannot afford this right now. So we're going to do this. I've been there, and I know that people can use our services. So we're going to do that. And then on the change management, organizational development side of things, you were like, okay, we want you though to be at a point where you don't need this, you need your own staff, and we'll help you with that transition.
Absolutely. So Minion mode is that like Nuprin, little, yellow, different.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Well, one of the things that
all about branding with you, right?
Just a little bit
Natural.
Yeah.
But like one of the things that really hits home when you talk empathy, and that some of our playbooks deal with, is also figuring out your ideal client profile. Because it's really funny the way that I use psychology and empathy in everything with marketing. Because you need to understand your ideal client. And if you don't understand that ideal client enough that you could put on that coat and see, does this messaging fit? Does this tactic fit with them? Then you're doing it wrong. So it isn't being in their shoes. Being in their shoes isn't enough. I like to think of it as if it's that jacket, right? And if you can think of that old Chris Farley SNL sketch with big man and little jacket, right? Like, we don't want it to be like that. We want it to fit. We want it to feel really good. And you don't want to see him struggling anymore to fit in that jacket.
Right.
That was Tommy Boy, right? In a little coat.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I get it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Very, very apt and
Love it.
uncomfortable recollection with that sketch. It's great.
Yes.
Well, it's, you take it to another level, right? I helped Verizon Wireless rebuild their website when I was working at Mech Labs. And one of the things that was really key in everything that we were doing, you know who I am if I'm your customer. You know my preferences. So why would you send me, who has been an Apple user since inception, anything about an Android? it makes no sense. If you don't know me, you don't know how turned off I'll be by that. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't resonate.
That's right. I mean, Apple has a staunch following, and that is the culture that you live in. Arguably, not me.
Well, and
I have an Android and an Apple, so I'm like, I walk the two lines.
But if I've been a customer
I like
for
it.
10
The Johnny
years,
Cash reference comes in.
Well, and if you're a client for 10 years, right, and they know you, they should be able to say the right language to you, the right things. Does this fit? Does this resonate with who that person is that I'm going to target market?
Right. And that the damage with a gesture like that is untold. You just don't know how offensive that would be to someone who already has a brand loyalty. And then suddenly to see something so wrong. Yeah. Yeah. And that's an easily avoidable mistake, I would imagine. But
you just need to know your ideal client.
Yeah.
And we talk about this, communication. We talk about in almost every episode that we've had so far, and tailoring, the message, the style, the channel to your audience. So it doesn't just have to be, those clients and those external folks, right? We need to factor that into the internal, how we deal with our clients, for a B2B business. How do we deal with them versus how we help them to manage their customers? But then internally, with all the changes that happen with your incumbent employees, incoming people, vendors, executives, everybody needs to have that message, somewhat different to resonate with them.
Yeah. We talk a lot about change, Rachel, and it is sort of the umbrella under which most of our podcasts resonate. And the idea that in our culture, change is ever present and it is more and more rapid. And without that communication, knowing your audience, even within the organization, it has the same importance, right?
One of the things that we see, we have several clients who are recruiters and executive search firms, and their goal is to not only figure out fit, but to help their clients identify culture and the messaging that resonates. Because, right, as an employer,
culture. Yeah.
You want to attract the right people to your team. You want to say the right things. You want them to share the same values when they're coming in. And it's just part of the messaging for that ideal client, which could also be your ideal hire. And how do they get that same, at Verizon, they had a big sign, "We are Verizon," right? How do you get that feeling and make sure everyone feels that?
Yeah. It's almost like building the culture or protecting the culture that you have by finding the right people and hiring the right people, but then also keeping them on and keeping them excited to be there, keeping them excited to stay there for a long time. And it's something that resonates a little bit when we were doing some kind of prep for this call. You mentioned that a lot of times you'll look for your own clients for Rockstar and Minion, Rockstar and Moon, where you have some understanding of their world, their business, their clientele, how they're going through their own journey. And maybe it's because you've gone through that journey yourself, or you've helped other clients through that specific pathway. And if there's not something that latches on for you, that you'll tend to back away from those types of clients. I thought that was pretty cool. That you don't see that a lot.
No. Well, here's the thing. A business and trying to find your ideal client is a lot like dating. I also think interviewing is a lot like dating, but humor me on the business side of the world. If you are attracting those bad boys, the ones that drain your soul, the ones that drain everything in the world, stop working with them. Stop. If you're not able to make an impact, just stop. Then look at your messaging. Why are you attracting them? What's weird on your Tinder profile, aka your website, that's attracting it, or in your marketing messaging. Because if you're only getting the clients who can't pay or who don't value your work or who really just treat you like garbage, you don't have to do it. And you have that choice.
Right.
Excellent.
There's a
You've just made me very uncomfortable with knowing that my website is now my Tinder profile.
I'm swiping.
Well, would your ideal client swipe? I don't know.
But to take it back a little bit to one of our themes today, there's a self-assurance, I think, and maybe it's a resilience, maybe it's a self-confidence or a ability to roll with it, or some sort of knowledge that even if you don't take that client, and maybe you need that money, maybe you got to pay rent on the first or whatever it is, but you just know that you will find the right client, that you will find the right new hire, that you will get the right people coming into your business. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, especially a lot of small business owners who feel like, if I don't take that client, I don't know when the next one's coming and what's going to happen. And so there's something about that resilience, that self-confidence. I'm not sure what the right word is, but there's that all links together, and your empathy comes in, and maybe that's where you're really good with the clients that you work with at helping them understand, no, you can do this. You got this. It'll be okay. Trust me, I've been there. And maybe that's your secret sauce. I don't know. But I think there's something really cool about the way that you're helping your clients through that journey and managing that change and kind of getting through that uncertainty. We talk a lot on our pod about uncertainty and dealing with that and how that's very hard for a lot of people. It does not seem like it's very hard for you. And so whatever your makeup is that helps you through that, that's very cool. It's very inspiring.
Well, what's interesting, so I just came off a weekend at the Ayurvedic clinic. I am working insanely hard on being more focused on the things that matter to me and actually defining them and getting as self-aware as possible. Normally, I go once a quarter. I like to just be able to unplug and see where the creativity takes me and what I can grow into and get the vision for where I want to be. And it may not always be that right vision, and that's absolutely okay, because then we will pivot to find something that feels more congruent and more authentic. And the bottom line is I want to wake up every day and go to a job that I love. I want to be in love with the way that I can help somebody. I want to be able to be the change that I want to see in the world. And if I can't, then what am I doing? So after this weekend, it was really focusing on affirmations and where do I want to go and what do I want to do and how do we expand the business in a really smart way. And coming back into it, it was a full recharge, refresh, okay, ready to go. And now the creativity is back there with clients. So we're talking strategies, we're talking how do we want to grow. And several of our clients are having that moment of, well, I'm switching from taking every single client to I'm taking the ones that fit the model that I do. Because Beautiful. If you don't do it that way, you're recreating the wheel for every single one of these. And you're spending so much time, effort, and energy to get something together that may or may not work. You're draining all your resources versus doing what you do best.
It's the 80-20 rule in the wrong direction, right? Sure. Yeah.
So I'm getting you're drawing from natural healing, your experience, your education, which we didn't really talk too much about, but you switched from international business to psychology, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're well, I guess going back to experience as a business owner, right? So you're drawing from all these different paths to create these solutions. Why don't we take another quick break? And when we come back, can you give us maybe some some tips that you can share with other business owners, entrepreneurs, people who are aspiring to get into business, managers, what have you, to be a rock star?
You got it.
How's that? Right on. Cool. All right. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. At Harmonious Workplaces, we believe work should provide purpose, satisfaction, and growth. We empower people to thrive by fostering environments where individuals can find meaning in their work and organizations can succeed through thoughtful, well-executed strategies. We're committed to making work better for the people who do it and the leaders who guide them. To discover how Harmonious Workplaces can impact your organization, visit www.harmoniousworkplaces.com and book a free 30-minute information session with one of our consultants today. Again, that's www.harmoniousworkplaces.com. And we are back. So we've been talking with Rachel Minion of Rockstarr Moon, and we were going to talk about some tips. We are going to talk about some tips. But Ben, you had a pretty cool question to ask, and go for it.
Yeah, I think it was picking up on something that Rachel had been saying around how she likes to have her own client profile and how she encourages her clients to really target their own ideal client and not to take any job that comes through the door, not to just take business because it's there, but really focus on the clients that are right for them. And I was thinking that's got to be really scary for a lot of small businesses to say, I need money, I have to pay my rent, I have to pay my staff, I have to eat, but at the same time, I'm not going to take that job because I am pretty sure that it's not right for me and it's just not going to be worth the effort, versus knowing and having that self-confidence, that resilience, that optimism, whatever words we're using, to know that the right client will come along. And I was hoping, Rachel, that you might be able to share a little bit more about how you help your clients get to that point where they're confident enough, where they're secure enough, where they feel like they're in that psychological safe space to be able to say, yes, I want to work with you, I'm going to knock it out of the park, or no thanks, I don't think we're a great fit, maybe I can refer you to some other people, or whatever that looks like.
So the first thing that anyone does the minute that they start working with us, we start down the ideal client profile. I hammer the details home. I am not interested in broad. I'm not interested in vague, because as a marketer, how do I write for that? If you say I can work with any industry, we benefit any industry. Okay, how? You do it differently for each. You can do X, you can do Y, you can do Z. You can't tell me you can work with every person at a company. It's different if I'm talking to the guy who's in charge of procurement or the woman who's on charge, like she's leading up HR, versus the founder. There's no way to talk to all these people. So I push them from that first second. You got to give me one. Who is the low-hanging fruit that we can go get today? We're writing your new website copy for that. We're writing all your outreach for that. We are putting together a plan to capture those leads, because they are not only the low-hanging fruit, we know who they are, we know how to get in touch with them. Let's take that step. Once we've done that and we're testing it, we go to the next one. But trying to do everything all at once and hit everybody means you're hitting nobody. So why not be really good at what you do? Start with something that you know you can get traction with, and model the program after that.
Absolutely.
That's great.
That makes all the sense in the world.
And maybe this then leads into some of the tips that Rich promised you would tell us, not to put you on the spot even more. Yeah. But how then do you convince them to take that first step to say, no, thank you? And is it building on the ideal client profile, or is that a separate tip?
Well, I typically have 3 tips that I give. The first is start before you're ready. because you're never going to have everything perfect. The website will never be done. All of your stuff will never be done. And it's all an iteration, right? It's just version 1, version 2, version 3. Getting something out there is better than doing nothing, because doing nothing is going to get you nothing. So start before you're ready.
Great.
Tip 2, this is all a test. There is nothing, there's no perfect formula, there's no whatever. So look at the data, look at how this goes. How do we grow this? It's by looking at that real-time data. Are we getting actionable insights based off of it? So for example, we tried to go after insurance companies in the beginning, because there's no insurance company that's small that has a good website. There's just not.
True.
Right?
Been there, done that, understand what you mean, 100%.
And so if you think about that, yeah, their websites suck, but they're also married to that, and that's fine. So it didn't work. So we pivoted. And we started to find our right clients where we were selling more and getting more into that. So we fixed our messaging. We made our messaging even more complete for there. And then we, realized we don't want to do B2C. I don't like dealing with that in any way, shape, or form. Let's go B2B and get more tight on that messaging and see how do we get down even further. And it's just a test. My website changes. Messaging on a very regular basis. Our outreach changes on a very regular basis. We want to make sure we are doing the right thing and bringing on the right people and attracting the right people. So if you know that this will never be final, which is a great thing for marketers in the world, because you're never done marketing, right?
That's true.
You just go to the next step and just understand what you can learn from that.
Right. I just want to pause you 1 second. For those of us with test anxiety, even the word sort of gets a little, right? Experiment we use often. Experiments, right? And you can stay curious with those experiments, and it just takes that edge of this is all we have and it's all or nothing. Love it.
Yeah. And being able to pivot off of it just based off of data is huge. And if you know what data to look for, so for example, I've got a 2% open rate on an email. Okay, well, that sucks. So iterate. Now let's do a different subject line. Let's just try this. Let's try that. Let's see, what are we going to do to get somebody to raise their hand and say, okay, let's have a conversation.
Great.
The other tip that I have is, while there's 17 billion books and podcasts and all of these things, there is no official book to tell you how to run your business. As a business owner, you get to make that up. You get to make the rules and figure out what fits, what doesn't. Do we try a new service? Do we try bringing in a fractional service? Do we try bringing in this? Do we bring in a partner who can help our clients with this? And really being able to think creatively to make sure that not only your business is moving forward, but your clients are supported and you have those right pieces in play, so you're keeping everything moving forward all together.
That's lovely. In fact, because I've worked with franchises before, as clients, and even when I worked at a bigger franchise chain of hardware stores that will go unnamed, but every region had something different, right? So even though there's a model that you have to follow, you have to make it your own based on your clients, their cultures within that regional space, and then just what ends up happening on a day-to-day basis. So that's lovely.
It makes me
good insight.
It makes me think a little bit about some of the stuff that we've talked about before in terms of being comfortable with change, and that change is never quite done. You might finish a part of an initiative, but something's always changing in the marketplace. Something's always changing with the talent pool. Something's always changing with how your systems that underpin everything are running. And just that, I think that approach that you have is really cool, that you're just always in this adaptation mode or evolution mode, or there's a continuity of being comfortable with that change. And I think some of that is probably due to your mindset and your approach and your positivity. But I think that's really sharp in how you can help clients take that mentality and apply that to their businesses. I think that's something that probably everyone can learn how to be a little bit more comfortable with that, knowing that you've got them with the right data, with playbooks, with an approach. You're backstopping them with your own business acumen and experience, and you can take stuff on as needed or offload stuff from them as needed, that kind of thing.
It's a wonderful approach until you realize I also have the same approach with my house. We bought a brand new house, but as you can see behind me, we have done feature walls. I have renovated. Yes, it was a brand new house just built. We have renovated 2 of the bathrooms. We've added on a lanai. We have done all these other things because it's that mindset of how do we get it just a little bit better? How do we get it a little more honed in? How do we make this a little more, versus, and something that feels authentic versus the alternative of, okay, it's the same stock thing that you walk in every house. It's the same, and you just deal with it.
For whatever it's worth, there's nothing stock about what I see behind you. So you're on the right path.
And I think what we're talking about is transformative, right? It's having the vision. It's staying in touch with those pain points until you resolve them, not just ignoring them, not just pushing them under. And this transformative philosophy that you are bringing to your clients, bringing to your own business, right? There's some friction here. I need to evaluate that friction, either choose to continue working through it with the resilience and empathy I have, or having that wisdom to know this is not going to be part of my culture, part of my vision, and part of the transformative aspects that I'm trying to bring to business, right? I mean,
in the world of marketing, the funniest part is there is always friction. Because think about it, you get to a website, if there was no friction, you wouldn't be able to check out. You wouldn't be able to buy that thing. You wouldn't be able to submit a form. You wouldn't be able to make a phone call. Every piece of that is a source of friction. It's just, have you provided enough motivation to get past that friction, right?
Fascinating perspective.
I love that. Does friction create traction?
Only if you're motivated.
I was going to say there's got to be a motivation.
Right. And the reward has to be.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because that's something that we can use in the world of change. If you think of marketing and change in a large corporation, you're essentially trying to convince people and get people to behave in a slightly different way, whether it's using a new computer system or whether it's adopting different processes with how they sell or build a widget or whatever that is. And it's really the same kinds of things that you might apply in a marketing world, just to you're sort of flipping that internally. But I love that there's always that evolution. There's always, we've talked a lot about how do you motivate people to do that. And so those tips that you shared before, Rachel, are just fantastic about just starting. I love that. Just jump in, understand that it's a test, and understand that there's no official one single source of truth or no one single playbook, but that you get to write that playbook. And we've talked a lot about co-creating the change, having your employees come and buy into it by inviting them to help build it. And I love that that's a way that you go about it with your clients.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, before we wrap up, Rachel, can you give us a way that people can contact you? The floor is yours to talk about Rockstarr Moon.
Sure. So we have a couple options of how you can get in touch. First is you can go visit rockstarmoon.com. There's 2 R's at the end of Rockstar because I'm that much of a pain. But it's a little bit different. You can also visit rachelminion.com. I have playbooks available on both sites. On the Rockstarr Moon site are all the marketing playbooks. I've also brought them to my Rachel Minion site. I also, on the Rachel Minion site, have the rebranding after cancer on how to find your ideal self. You can go and download that. I run a nonprofit, which is Beyond Basic Needs, where we provide chemo care kits to cancer warriors across the U.S. So if you are so inclined, if you are in need, please visit our website, and that's beyondbasicneeds.org.
The empathy does not stop with you.
So inspirational, Rachel.
Awesome.
So many things that you were doing to give back. Honestly, thank you for being that torch of inspiration in that direction.
I just want to be able to make an impact.
You're doing it. You're doing it.
Super inspirational. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, with that, we want to thank all of our listeners for joining us today. Thank you so much, Rachel, and for showing up and bringing it. Like you rocked it for sure. So keep going. Totally inspiring. And who wants to take us out today?
Normally, Rachel, we have a tagline that we like to exit with that says, make change your friend. But I think for today, we'll say, make Rachel, Minion, and Rockstarr Moon your friend.
Oh, that's
Cheers.
awesome. Cheers.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks for listening to Harmonious Workplaces. You can find Harmonious Workplaces on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, and other streaming platforms. We'd love any feedback on whatever channel you find us on. Please rate, like, and share our podcast with your network, and remember to add Harmonious Workplaces to your list of favorites to get notified about each new episode. To contact Rich or Cheryl, please visit www.workbalanceconsulting.com. To connect with Ben, find him on LinkedIn or visit at www.harborsidestrategy.com.